out right now. And so just reorganizing things, because I always find that when it gets closer to spring, when I'm wanting to put the plants out, that things just get messier and messier and messier for whatever reason. And so I thought I would show you guys along the room and kind of give you a room tour of everything that I'm doing right now. I've got the majority of the plants, believe it or not, even though this looks like a lot, I've got the majority of the plants actually sitting in the living room, and I'm getting ready to put them in the plant room. I just have been really sick, and this is the first day that I feel like I'm actually human, and so I had a bunch of work I had to do earlier, but I think tonight I'm gonna try to just get everything loaded back in here and really find the right places for the different plants, because I think that's a big thing that happens as you're getting things shifted around and trying to fit things. It just gets very messy. So I thought I'd go ahead and show you guys kind of what the plant room looks like. This is just a spare bedroom. Majority of the plants will go outside when springtime hits, and they stay outside for about until about November if I can, sometimes late November, but that's really tough. We want to build a greenhouse just to not have to keep on taking the plants inside and out. And also it's just really tough to control. There's just a lot of things you have to control when you have it in the house. And so you can see here I have a dehumidifier and a humidifier. I've got a fan set up. There's lights everywhere. There's just a lot going on. So, but that's what you got to do when you have a lot of plants. So let me just take you through the tour of the plant room. Like I said, it's probably going to be very messy because I'm rearranging everything, and you guys will get to see kind of that process of me putting stuff back into the plant room and its in new places. But the big thing that I have in here right now that I want to tell you about is I've got a bunch of terrariums. I probably got 13 to 15 terrariums just in here. And I've got, looks like a Scindapsus over there that's growing on the wall that almost looks like a shingle type plant, but it's actually Scindapsus. Egregious, I think is how you say it. But anyways, so there are lots of terrariums in here, and I have a snake terrarium down here. This is my sun's snake. And we have lights everywhere that you'll see, the Vivo Sun lights. We have them on timers, so they come on and we alternate throughout the room, like those are on right now. It gets really hot in here if they're all on at the same time, so they alternate. And the terrariums are super easy to, you don't have to do much with them. Honestly, most of the plants, they will be very self-sufficient as far as you don't have to water it very often, don't have to fertilize it very often. They usually grow. Do you have pests that come along with terrariums? Absolutely, it can happen. But, you know, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But it is definitely something that I highly recommend if you're not someone that has a ton of time. Try planting your plants in terrariums. It makes such a huge difference. And I can show you guys eventually what it takes to set up a terrarium, but like I said, I have about 13 of them. This one's a cactus terrarium up here, you can kind of see. And this one, I used to have a lot nicer of a cactus terrarium, but right now this is just kind of what it is, but it's still, I like it. I've got my little skulls up there because I love skulls. And then in here, I've got, this used to be a closet, and I've got plants that I'm putting back. For those of you that are just coming on now, I actually took all of the plants outside of the plant room because everything was getting pretty chaotic. So now I'm dusting everything down, cleaning everything, cutting leaves, pruning, pest control, all of that, and I'm going to be putting them back. So I've already put some of the plants back, but a lot of them are not in here. But like even like this, I think this is looking glass begonia. It looks terrible because I was kind of neglecting it. But the Oxalis triangularis, that's really pretty. I like that neon. I think this is, oh gosh, you guys tell me what this is. I know what it is. My brain's just not, it's like moonlight, philodendron moonlight or something like that. But yeah, I'm getting everything kind of, I'll get things back in here soon and getting everything cleaned up. The terrariums is another thing that I want to do soon also, is I want to kind of clean them out and get them cleaned up because they can overgrow, and sometimes you can also get things that are just kind of hanging on and almost dead if they're growing a little slower than the other things, because some things will take off in here. You know, I've noticed that Syngoniums, they absolutely love the terrariums usually. A lot of philodendron types of philodendrons love the terrariums. Begonias love terrariums. You can see this is just a regular outside begonia. I planted it in here. I've got some pothos up there you can see. And yeah, so I need to go in there and I need to weed that out because it is getting messy. And then I've got, this is one of my favorite for a long time. It's usually thriving, but recently I've noticed that it's kind of been not so happy. And so I need to get in there and try to figure out what's going on. I think it kind of dried out a little bit. And also I've seen a little bit of scale, and scale is just terrible if you know anything about scale. But this was my favorite one. You can see here just even the Scindapsus leaf. That looks crazy. It's just crazy. And the biggest reason why they are so successful, especially like the Scindapsus and the pothos and all of that, and they'll get these huge leaves, is because they're able to basically vine along the bottom and root into that, and then let me show you guys some more here. You guys can see that the lights aren't on over here, but you can see here, this is just, I think this is a Scindapsus. It was either a silvery Ann Scindapsus or the egregious. I'm pretty sure it's silvery Ann actually. And you can see it's kind of a little darker back there, but you can see how it kind of shingled up the wall. And I kind of love that. It just, they get real flat and they're really pretty looking. Let's see what else we got here. Another terrarium. You can see this is the looking glass, although somebody else had said that they thought this was a different type of begonia, not a looking glass begonia. There's another name for it and I can't remember. I propagate these all the time. I have several of them and they're so easy to propagate. I've actually found these easier to propagate from the stem, which a lot of times begonia leaves, you can just propagate straight from the leaf itself and it's perfectly fine. But I have found the most success, honestly, from just cutting part of the looking glass begonia and putting in water, and it does great. So I'm always putting, that's one of the easiest, this is super easy, Calathea, and then the rattlesnake Calathea, really pretty, always pretty. I have a whole Calathea terrarium up here. I will show you guys something. See that little area there where it's kind of molding? We're treating that right now. This is what can happen in a plant room. So if you look up in this area here, we've treated with vinegar, and then we'll have to do a few other things, but that's what can happen in your house, especially when you have humidity, high humidity in certain places. And you have to be very careful because it will mold, especially in the corners or around windows as well. And so that's something that we're working on, trying to figure out the solution to that. There's a couple of different ideas. This is another terrarium that I have of all kinds of things. I've even got a queen back here. She's just kind of hanging out back here. She doesn't look the happiest, so I may need to do something with her, but for now, there's a begonia in there. I've got a Syngonium tricolor. I've got a Florida ghost. I've got, of course, Black Mamba. Everybody loves the Black Mamba. This is always such a great one for if you're trying to ever, I don't like selling plants. I tried that a long time ago, but I don't know. It felt like I was selling my kids. It didn't feel right to me. But if you are somebody that likes to sell plants, because, no shame in that game. But if you are, this is a big one. This one sells like crazy. People like black or different color themed plants. So this was a big one. I've got, this is, I think this is a tricolor, Scindapsus tricolor. I wanted this forever, and then I found a crazy sale on it, and I've propagated it since like 1,000 times. It's been just crazy how much I've propagated it. I've got a little peperomia in there. These are super easy to propagate from leaves. I've got a Maranta prayer plant. I've got a pink princess in there. This one is kind of crazy because she was just not happy for a couple of years, and now she's kind of coming back. I've got a Birkins in there. I've got a Tortum in there. I've got, I think, a Melanochrysum in there as well. I've got, what else did I got? I think I've got a Red Anderson back there too, and Oxalis triangularis. I've got a Griffin begonia. These things I can propagate like crazy. I think this is a Maharini alocasia, I'm pretty sure, but it likes it in there. A lot of the alocasias do. So, and I've got many other things back there, but yeah, this one I really like too. I like the ones that open up like this. So if you, like I said, if you're kind of, you don't have a whole lot of, if you don't have a whole lot of patience or time, you might want to get a terrarium because this is a great thing. You don't have to water as much. You can put several plants in there. It looks beautiful. It looks really aesthetically pleasing, and you just totally let it go. Let it do its thing. Now, I will tell you that slower growing plants will a lot of times not do as well in the terrarium setting just because they'll stay on the bottom, and if they need light, that will be a problem. So Hoyas are one that sometimes don't do as well in these type of settings. I think that almost looks like a goldfish plant. I totally forgot. And this is another thing I love about terrariums is sometimes I'll forget what I put in there. That almost looks like a goldfish plant, but that cannot be a that has to be a lipstick plant. I'm pretty sure, but it looks like a goldfish plant, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Then I've got this, I love this tiger begonia right here. I've propagated that so many times. Love that one, love that one. I've got another type, oh goodness, and this is something that will happen sometimes, is you will get certain pests. And I can see that this is infested with, unfortunately, infested with scale. I cannot stand scale. Scale is like the worst ever. Sometimes it will only affect, like it only affected really one leaf, but the problem with that is now I need to go in there and look at everything. You can try, there's so many different things that you can try for pest. It can be really troublesome when you get pest, especially in terrariums. I mean, that is something I've been asked about before. Like, what do you do when you get pest in terrariums? Well, you treat it kind of just the same way that you would treat a plant. And I find that usually it's not quite as bad, honestly. I don't mean the pest itself, but I mean more that the plants seem to do well as far as responding to the pest and being more resistant. So that's just kind of something I've seen. But I might even go in here pretty soon here and try to clean out the terrarium from some of the, like this one had mealybugs, and I think I got it almost all taken care of, but I see a few in certain areas that are kind of hanging around, and so it can take a little while. But I mean, honestly, it almost feels easier sometimes to take care of pests when you are treating them all at the same time. You just have to you have to make sure that when you're doing that, whatever you're spraying in there, that you have your, if you have your light, you want to turn that light off for a little bit. So it's a good balance. So you want to have a fan in the area. You want to make sure that it's drying out because you can get fungus if you don't have the light on and you don't have a good airflow source. So that's what I would highly recommend doing, is making sure to have a good airflow source. This one, I'm thinking about redoing the whole terrarium in there because I don't really like it in there. Although the ones that are in there, like I've got I can't even remember this is like a Anthurium Frederick or something like that. It really likes it in there. It's liked it in there for a long time, but there's a lot of things that don't. So I'm kind of contemplating whether or not I want to take everything out of there. And sometimes I'll do that. You know, that's the kind of the fun thing too about the terrariums is you can start all over if you want. And they're really not hard to make. I mean, we go on Facebook Marketplace and we look for terrariums. Usually the kind of the going rate is about $50 for a terrarium, but there's also deals at things like places like Petco or PetSmart where they'll have it $50 as well. A lot of the terrariums that I get will be the 40-gallon terrarium, but I do like these small, even the smaller opening ones from the front. Those are just, they're easier for me for some reason. I like to be able to work in them like that. I'll show you this one. This is kind of a newer one, and they will look, when you first start doing things, they'll look a little more bare, and that's okay because they grow with you, but you'll get a lot more flowers when you have terrariums. So that's something I have noticed. And of course you have to be careful with your lights and the type of lights you have, because sometimes one type of light will help only the plant leaves, and then other type will help the flowers. I'm pretty sure it's the pink that help the flowers and the white that just leaves in general. So I have you'll see I have a lot of begonias in there. I have an orchid begonia in there as well. Or I mean orchid, a jewel orchid, not orchid begonia. I think actually, yeah, so I have a lot of these. These are actually a lot easier than I thought they'd be when they're in the terrariums. And another one, you can see the looking glass. Like I said, these are so easy to propagate. Pretty crazy. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to actually take care of some of the pest in this one here, and because that will drive me crazy if I don't, but I'll get back on here later, and I'll probably show you guys some more of the terrariums and just the plant room in general, because I've got a lot of stuff that I'm working on right now, and I was just trying to take a little break from work, but I definitely want to show you guys more of the plant room and kind of what I'm doing, because I have done a little bit of, I have been neglecting it a little bit, and I want to make sure that I'm getting back to taking good care of it.